Both Arry and Bert are the rudest and naughtiest engines on Sodor. They love nothing more than throwing insults at everyone they encounter. But the one thing they never stop doing is making the steam engine's lives miserable. That being said, they still want to be really useful, but they could never stop being so devious to the other engines. One cold morning, Arry and Bert were resting comfortably at Wellsworth Sheds when they saw Henry and Toby at the station. They snickered quietly to each other. Just then, the station master walked up. "There's a party going on at Knapford," he said, "and there are lots of children there. There are a lot of important gifts that must be transported to them. Henry and Toby, I would like for you to take them to Knapford right away before the party is over." "Yes, sir," replied Henry and Toby. Henry was excited. Taking important deliveries to children made him feel really useful. "We must be careful, Henry," wheezed Toby. "The rails are very slippery after the snowstorm." Arry and Bert had overheard the conversation, and this gave Arry a sneaky idea. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Bert?" he used. "That I am," laughed Bert. "We should have gifts for ourselves." "Even better," sneered Arry, and he whispered quietly to Bert, who cackled. Later, Bert oiled through the yard. He found some trucks that were ready to go. "What do you want? What do you want?" they groaned. "You won't believe this," said Bert, "but Henry said you were nothing but lowlifes on wheels." The trucks gasped. Then they stared crossly at each other. They had never been called such names before. "He even said you don't matter to the railway," muttered Bert. "I feel like you should do something about it." The trucks looked at each other. We should indeed, they cried. "If you see Henry or Toby," said Bert, "you didn't hear anything from us." When Henry arrived to collect train, the truck stared crossly at him. Henry paid no attention and was on his way to the station. When he arrived at the station, the men got to work. They loaded the packages and parcels into the cars and were very careful not to damage anything. Toby was coupled to the back to give Henry a push. "Ready?" called Henry. "Ready," replied Toby. Then, puffing hard and carefully, Henry and Toby set off. "Good luck," whistled Thomas as they puffed by. Soon they came to the top of Gordon's Hill. "Get good steam," called Henry. Suddenly the trucks cried out, "Hold back!" Henry felt the weight of the cars and pulled hard. But by now, the trucks were getting heavier and heavier. Henry pulled and Toby pushed. But it wasn't until they finally stopped. Henry was very annoyed. "What has gotten into you silly trucks today?" demanded Toby. "That'll teach you to call us names," hollered the trucks. By now, Toby was too exhausted to push Henry, and Henry couldn't pull the heavy train if he wanted to. Soon enough, Arry and Bert were making their way to Gordon's Hill. When we get there, Bert, called Arry, you know what to do. Bert cackled in agreement. The two naughty diesels were going to bump into Toby and Henry and ruin the parcels for the children. When they got to the hill, they saw Toby and Henry stuck at the bottom. They both surged forward, but then Bert suddenly stopped. Hey, snarled Arry, what's the meaning of this? Bert had suddenly stopped, as if he had hit some magic buffers. The diesel was lost in thought. This doesn't seem right, Arry, he said in a low voice. I am happy to play another trick on a steam engine, but I don't want to destroy something so important for Christmas and to children. Arry was lost in thought. And I think, he went on, nobody likes us because all we do is fool around. Arry went pale. He realized that Bert was right. Oh boy, he groaned. We've been so foolish. What can we do about it? Well, went on Bert, Sir Tom had said helping one another makes us really useful. So, instead of hurting another engine, we should definitely help them. Arry grumbled. He hated helping steam engines, but they couldn't just let the children be sad on Christmas. So without another word, the diesels went to help. Toby was surprised. So was his driver when he looked back to see who was helping. Arry and Bert took a deep breath and began to push. It was very hard work, but at last the train began to move slowly. Henry was very surprised when they were moving all of a sudden. Come on, Toby, he puffed. It isn't me, cried Toby. Then who is? Asked Henry. Arry and Bert didn't reply as the train slowly but surely came over the hill. It was almost dawn by the time they arrived at Knapford Station. The children clapped and cheered when seeing their friends. Both Henry and Toby were exhausted, but very pleased that they arrived. Gordon and James were very surprised. What time do you call this? Snapped James. You were supposed to be here before dawn, said Gordon. Before either Henry or Toby could reply, Arry and Bert approached. We kinda helped them, blushed Bert. Both Henry, Toby, and even Gordon and James were speechless. You did all this? Cried James. Yes, replied the diesel sheepishly. I never thought I'd be saying this, puffed Toby, but thank you. Arry and Bert perked up, hearing this. Yes, thank you very much, steamed Henry. Then they all whistled for Arry and Bert, who could only blush. Even for a pair of troublesome diesels, they had managed to save Christmas. Oi, turn the frown upside down. It's almost Christmas here.